I bought my son's chair for this. Oh, one of his marbles. Take that back home. Welcome back to my house. I thought I would get cozy and comfortable for this one. So then this supporting is still here. These are the renovation diaries. I don't know about you guys, but when I go on Instagram and TikTok, I feel like people just get a house and they just start knocking it down. And I'm like, how do you know which walls won't collapse the building? And the multitude of questions like that. As someone who is not a professional in the trades, these are the questions I have. I mean, clearly someone has previously knocked down some walls. But for instance, how do I know that if that didn't go down, the ceiling wouldn't collapse? Because what if that's keeping the ceiling up? And if I just knock that down, I mean, these are the questions I have. And these are the mistakes I don't want to make. So although my house looks the same, there is so much I've been doing, and let me take you through it. One of the first things I did was a drainage survey. So this is where a tiny little camera goes into the pipe system and it goes and figures out what each pipe in my freehold property is doing, which is mine, which is public, which is somebody else's, and where they're going, what they're doing, all that stuff. Now, the reason that I did this is for a few reasons. One of those reasons is because if I dig and I accidentally dig up a pipe and burst it and it's not mine and it's somebody else's or it's a public one, that is a disaster. That is a huge disaster I just don't want. And that disaster would cost me some serious money. So I didn't want to do that. And obviously, regarding the concrete in the garden, I needed to know that if I dug up that concrete, I wasn't then going to dig up some pipes. So another benefit of doing that meant now I know where the drainage pipe system, what it's doing. And right now, my poo pipes, what do you call them? Sewage pipes? They're the poo pipes, where the poop goes, where the waste goes. They currently take my neighbours, take mine, and they go under my kitchen, around my property, and then to the public one. Now, living in London my whole life, I'm very familiar with mice and rats, and I'm not cussing them out. I just don't want to share a kitchen with them. I don't want them joining me for breakfast. It's just not my vibe. What was really important for me is to make sure I can try my best to make sure I don't have furry friends that weren't invited. Now, having pipes and sewage go under my house, through my kitchen, and all the way around gives them more place to scurry, explore, find a way up, and I don't want to do that. So now that I know where they are, and before I start building, I'm actually going to move the pipe. So instead of going through my kitchen around my house, it's going to go straight outside. Bye-bye. And that makes me very happy. The other thing I've been working on is the party wall agreements. Something I didn't even know about. So the party wall agreement is an agreement made between me and my neighbours regarding any building works. I have two neighbours with shared walls of adjoining properties, and they have rights, of course they do. So to prevent any problems that could occur if they don't like something I'm doing or they feel like it's compromising something of theirs, before the build, we'll go over everything and hopefully they're happy with everything and there's no problems. And this will prevent the opportunity for me to upset them in any way or do something they don't like, which they have legal rights to obviously be like, I don't like that, or that is compromising this on my property. Because if there are problems down the line, it could stop my development. There could be a legal battle, which would cost money and time and resources and headaches. So this party wall agreement should ensure there are no problems and we can just do this like best buds and it all goes smoothly, because I've heard some terrible stories and I don't want that for me or my neighbours. Number 3, structural engineers, because I don't want this house to collapse and I don't know how to make something structurally sound. That's not something I've studied, and I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm doing. So I'm paying a professional to make sure that this build is legal, safe, secure, and lasts a very long time. And then lastly, my architect. This property is, how do I say it? Is very small and unique. And I really want to be intentional about building something. Beautiful flow, there's beautiful light, there's enough storage for me and my son. And that vision I have is backed by someone who's a professional in making sure the lighting, the flow, the space, the design can be as best as it can be. But I am project managing this and it scares the light out of me. Any project managing tips? Be my guest. There's been a lot going on. There's been a lot of organising. There's been a lot of things I've had to pay for. Let me know if you want to know how much these cost on average. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm new to this. I don't know if because in cities, we're all kind of houses on top of houses, all compact together. There's just a lot of rules and regulations. For example, if I want to change my windows, I have to get approvals. I can't just say, I want to do this design window, so I'm going to do this design window. I kind of have to make sure it stays in tune with the area. And if I do something that doesn't cross those boxes, come in and tell me to put it back or just interrupt with what I'm doing, which can cost me more money down the line, which I don't want to have to do. So I'm really hoping that paying for these services and doing it properly ensures that one, I'll have a really sound, beautiful build, and two, I won't have to change things. So now that I've got all that out the way, we are coming to the part of the project where I start going to tender, which is essentially where I put my project out to builders so that I can find some builders. So that brings me to now, right? Finalizing the layout plans of this house. Because right now this house is a 1-bedroom house, but I'm turning it into a 2-bedroom house for me and my son, which is why I'm getting like a lofted extension and an extension on my property. I'm doing everything within permitted developments. There are a few different ways we can create a layout to give you the lifestyle that you want. So for me, what is really important is to have a multifunctional open plan living space, because I don't have enough room to have a kitchen, diner, and living room. My house is too small to kind of have different rooms for different things. And also I am always in the kitchen cooking, and I want to make sure that when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I am with my people. I'm not hiding away. So I want to have the kitchen and the living space conjoined. That's how I like to live. But for everyone, that's like a different thing. That's why an architect can kind of talk to you, ask what you like, you tell them what you like, and they can make it work. These are the different floor plan ideas that me and my architect have come up with. So this is my ground floor. You come in through the front door, you have the little kitchen, you come in here and you have the living space, fireplace. This is where the boiler is. And then you have to go outside to get into here, which is the store cupboard. And I'm going to build an extension so I can increase this floor space. So we're coming out this way, and then we're also coming up here. So now the floor plan will also include this area and this area. So increasing in size. So how do we make best use of this extension? And be mindful that this is all within permitted developments. So this being the new floor plan, this is what it actually looks like, bare. So this is the awkward space I have. Now we've come up with a couple of different ideas. So the staircase is currently here, but to best make use, we've been thinking about different positions to put the staircase, and we've come up with here. The staircase is short because originally it wraps around the house. But instead, we want to have one row to take you straight to the top floor. So it'll be a longer staircase and it can go here. In the original plan, you had to walk upstairs to go to the bathroom. But what if we put a toilet here? With storage in mind, we had this idea to, right here by the door, have a bench for sitting, and then for here, place to put your coats and jacket. And then right here, you have the front door. So you come in through the front door, you have your bench to take off your shoes, put your shoes underneath, wardrobe to put in your jackets, and you can go up the stairs here. And here you can have the toilet for guests. Otherwise, they have to come upstairs and use the family toilet, which I don't like the idea of that. So then this supporting wall is still here. Toyed with the idea of having kitchen in different areas, but it made sense to put the kitchen here, as well as here will be a window to look out into the garden. You guys know me, I need a kitchen island. Kitchen table here. Then we have a sofa, which could go here or here. I like it here. So we've played with lots of different ideas. So in terms of windows, we are planning a window here, a window here, a window here, and then here to be doors. So this was one of the first plans. You come in the door, you can go all the way up to go to the stairs, you can have the guest toilet, and then down here you go into the open plan living space, kitchen diner, kitchen island, utility room, and open plan living space. But we felt like the flow was a bit off, so my architect had the idea of moving the bathroom here. So you walk in this way, moving the table and chairs, and putting a window here and then moving the chair this way. So you walk in the door, you have a toilet, go around, you can go up the stairs, put your coats and stuff here, come through into the open plan living space, kitchen, seating, sofa, relaxation. I think this way has better flow to the garden. Utility, kitchen, dining, living. This is where we started. This is the kitchen, living space, store, cupboard. That wasn't even part of the house, and the stairs. We are turning this into this. That's a big difference. I mean, come on. That's a huge difference. This into this. This turns into that. And that was the potential of this property. We haven't even talked about the loft conversion. So the next video, we're gonna be talking about mood boards and interior design. I know what I like, I just don't know how to design it, but I'm gonna go through how I'm figuring out how to do that. Woo! See you on the next one.